Today we present to you 5 extraordinary people who survived the impossible. Enjoy! Number 5. Vesna Vulovic survived something no one had ever lived through before. The 22-year-old Yugoslav flight attendant survived a fall out of 6 miles above the ground. She is listed in the Guinness Book of World Records for surviving the greatest drop ever without a parachute. On the 26th of January 1972, she was flying from Stockholm to Zagreb with a stopover in Copenhagen when the airplane crashed over a Czech village close to the border of the GDR. Out of 22 passengers and 6 crew members, Vesna was the only person who survived the tragic incident. The Yugoslav authorities blamed Croatian extremists for the plane crash, suspecting they had secretly smuggled a bomb on board of the plane. However, up to this day, there has not been any evidence found to prove this theory. Number 4. Erin Lee Ralston is an American mountain climber who received worldwide publicity by amputating his own hand. His goal was to climb all of the 59 mountains in Colorado that are higher than 4,000 meters in a solo attempt. While hiking the Blue John Canyon in Utah in April 2003, a large rock moved and jammed Ralston's right hand, which left him stuck in the middle of nowhere. For 5 days, Ralston tried to set himself free, but his efforts were unsuccessful. He recorded his dramatic experience with his camcorder. Seeing that death had become a very likely outcome of the situation, Ralston recorded himself in a final message for his family. To this day, the only outsiders allowed to watch the footage were film director Danny Boyle and actor James Franco, who played the role of Erin Ralston in the movie 127 Hours. The film was released in 2010 and reenacts the entire series of dramatic events Ralston experienced in the canyon up to his rescue. If you're interested, we put a link to the trailer in the description below. Number 3. Anatoly Bugorsky worked at the Institute for High Energy Physics in Protvino, where he and others operated the largest Soviet particle accelerator, the U-70 synchrotron. On July 13, 1978, while testing a defective part of the accelerator, an incident occurred that left Bugorsky exposed to an enormous beam of protons. After receiving this lethal dose of energy, which destroyed nerves on his face, he lost hearing on his left ear, the left side of his face swelled, skin started peeling off, and his entire face was paralyzed. Luckily, his intellectual capabilities were not harmed, and he even completed his doctorate. Number 2. Roy Sullivan, also known as the Human Lightning Rod of Virginia, is probably one of the most unfortunate record holders ever to make it into the Guinness Book of World Records. No other person has ever been struck by more lightning than this man. 7 times a lightning bolt passed through his body, and he survived every single one of them. The only injuries that he ever suffered were light burns on his back, stomach, and chest, as well as a missing toenail. By the way, the odds of getting struck by lightning 7 times are about 1 to 16 septillion. That's a 16 followed by 24 zeros. And we are already at our incredible number 1. Frane Selak, who had 6 serious near-death experiences. Frane Selak's amazing story starts in January 1962 when the 32-year-old traveled in a train that derailed and sunk in a river. 17 passengers died during this tragic event, but Frane Selak survived with a broken arm and hypothermia. However, the Grim Reaper would never fully leave his side over the next 40 years. Just 1 year later, 1963, during his first and only flight in an airplane, fate struck again. 6 miles up in the air, the rear door of the plane opened, and Selak witnessed how flight attendants and passengers were sucked out into the open before being sucked out himself too. 19 people died during this plane crash, but Selak landed unharmed on a haystack. This story goes on, and 3 years later, our unfortunate protagonist Selak plunged into a river during a bus accident. 4 people died, but Selak made it to the shore with only a few scratches and bruises. During the next 7 years, his car caught fire twice. In 1970, he just barely saved himself from an exploding fuel tank, and in 1973 he was stuck in his burning car until firemen saved him in the last second and brought him to the hospital with minor burns on his skin and hair. For the next 22 years, the Croatian lived without any further incidents until in 1995 he was hit by a bus in the Croatian capital city Zagreb. Needless to say, he survived again, only to face death once more the next year in a car accident that occurred in the mountains. Luckily, Selak was not wearing his seatbelt, and he was flung out by the spinning car before it dropped 500 feet down the canyon and exploded. In 2003, Selak's lucky unluckiness suddenly changed. It sounds like the storyline of a movie. 2 days after his 73rd birthday, Selak won the lottery and received 6 million kuna, which converted to about $900,000 at the time. Those were 5 people who survived the impossible. You can now continue with the next video, just click here or in the description below. See you next time. Bye bye.